Call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. Good to see some smiling faces out there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll begin with our invocation and pledges.
Lord, we are thankful for this day that you have given us, for its blessings and opportunities and its challenges. May we appreciate and use each day that comes to us. We pray for strength and guidance for each day as it comes, for each day's duties and for each day's problems. May we be challenged to give our best always, and may we be assured of your presence with us. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Any public comments? Anyone,
No,
sir?
sir.
No? Okay. Consider award of RFP 2223-129 Construction Manager at Risk Contract for Southwest High School Stadium Press Box renovation.
Mr. Board President, if we could please take just a 5-7 minute little break so
Oh,
we could
yes.
get the food for the board members, if you don't mind.
Thomas, on hold. Let us get our food, please, really quick. All right, we'll pick it right up at item 4. Tomas?
Yes, sir. So this is the RFCSP for the construction manager at risk contract for the Southwest High School Stadium press box. So Pfluger Architects worked with our district staff to put out the RFP. September 19th, we accepted bids. 5 bids were submitted ranging, and this is for pre-construction and construction phase cost fees for the CMR. The costs range from $378,400 to $840,000. We went through with Pfluger and our district committee through the process of looking at all the selection criteria. After reviewing and checking all the references, the ranking shows there, and I'm sorry, I apologize, I also handed this out before the meeting. So CGC General Contractors is the top ranked firm, and so the district is recommending that we approve CGC General Contractors as the construction manager at risk on the Southwest High School Stadium press box for a fee in the amount of $378,400, and that is a bond project funded by the 2023 bond. Any questions for me on it?
Board members? Questions?
Are we're not finished designing anything, are we?
No, sir.
Okay.
This is strictly to bring a contractor on board to help with the phasing and the schedule, and then helping us with the pricing to get to where we need to be on budget.
Okay. You move? Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Thomas. Number 5 we'll come back to after closed session. Number 6, items of information, conceptual design of central office / professional development building. What do we have?
Yes, we have a presentation. This is just a little glimpse. So we're excited to show you what we do have. So I know that the team and CAR has really been working on that. So looking forward to sharing a little bit of the work that we've done so far. Yes.
Car's here with RDK and can take us through the conceptual plan for the central office.
Welcome, Carr.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Good to see you. Thanks for this time today. We shared some information with the building subcommittee at their last meeting, and we wanted to provide an update to the full board today as well with a little bit more information from what we shared at that time. So I'm just going to walk through where we are right now in our overall design process for the new Central Office Professional Development Center. Where we started, let me see if I can okay. Where we started in our process was just identifying, generally speaking, that a new facility would be located primarily in the quadrant where we are now. So at the bottom of the screen, you actually see the building that houses our current boardroom, superintendent office, and some of the business offices. What we're looking at is generally locating a new facility in the area of the original Southwest High School. We would be taking a lot of those individual wings down and then supplementing with more parking for staff and visitors around that future facility. We've developed two different concepts that we would like your feedback on today and direction as we move forward. This is the first concept I'd like to share, which is basically a building that's in two pieces, if you will. That's been shaped a little bit by the site, the trees, the parking that we're layering in. So the way this building layout, the way this concept works, we're looking at a 2-story building, but a portion of that building would only be a single story, what I'd call a story and a half in size. They're connected at the second floor so that it all falls under one roof. But the rationale for this approach is that the way you can occupy this complex, you have a front door for your day-to-day business, but you could also have the opportunity to open up your boardroom or your professional development and learning space separately from the rest of the building, so you don't have to open the entire complex. This is something that is often done now with central office facilities where you want to be able to have a little bit of latitude about how you use a space like the one we're in now. It's not unlike the door we have here. It's just with a little bit more formality between the two functions of the building. We're locating this, as I mentioned, between two parking components. So the parking lot that you have, we're interested in the opportunity to redevelop that somewhat, but the parking at the front of the site would be primarily targeted towards visitors, and then expand our parking to the north for additional space for staff. Right over on the right-hand side of the screen for reference, we see the edge of Southwest Elementary. So we're basically, the building faces to the east towards our campus drive. We're kind of looking at how the outdoor space around our building can be designed and occupied. And then the building here for reference that's shown is our University Health Clinic.
Carr, where did you say the entrance is?
So in this concept, what we're looking at is that the primary entrance would be facing east, either heading into the 2-story building here or heading into the boardroom and professional development center here. And I have some images that follow this that'll help explain that a little bit further. I wanted to go ahead and show you an alternate scenario that uses these same components but looks at their organization and orientation a little bit differently. This is part of what I'm interested in getting your feedback and direction on today. So in this concept, we're still looking at those same building blocks, but instead of having the building face towards the east, it's really facing more towards the south. In this case, we have our boardroom and professional development facility towards the right, and our office, our professional offices to the left. So now the entrance faces a little bit more to the southwest. It opens up a courtyard space to this larger green space. You still have some outdoor space to the right, to the east as well, but it just would tend to make the predominant use of the outdoor space face more towards the south. We'll come back to these two diagrams, but before I go to those, I'll just walk you through some massing studies to show you, at least on a preliminary basis, how we're seeing the buildings could take shape. So this goes back to that first site plan that I laid out, where if we were looking from the east, if we were flying overhead above Southwest Elementary School, this is what we would be seeing of the new professional development and central office complex. So on the left-hand side of the screen, this would be your public parking, where visitors primarily would be introduced walking along this large porch to get to both the boardroom as well as into the central office complex proper. If I bring our imaginary drone down a little bit further, this is then looking in towards that building. One of the things that we know from our initial work in trying to develop the vision, the kind of the look and feel of this facility is that from a safety and security point of view, we want to emphasize where we put glazing so that we don't have too much glass, especially at our main level. But that being said, we do want to be sure that we have that sense of openness where we're heading into the building. So either that's at our main entrance into central office or a main entrance into the boardroom. One of the other things that we think is worth considering about a setup, a scenario like this, is that depending on the events you're having the boardroom have its identity where it can open up to this courtyard space would allow for more flexible usage with a larger event, kind of indoor outdoors. And then the component that really links these two together, what we call the bridge, is actually just programmatically where we're looking at putting our senior administration offices. So superintendent, deputy superintendent, some of those functions would really be in that link that ties the whole complex together. This is just one more view, just moving a little bit over closer to our two-story building, looking back towards the south along that bridge. The bridge space then opens up through towards the pony fields. In the long run, we know from our programmatic work that there could be, as Southwest ISD continues to grow, a need for this administrative hub to also grow. And so what we would envision is that the building would expand towards the west, away from this front. So ideally, we would be able to design this now, and this would remain sort of your front door to the overall complex. So with those in mind, this just lets you see those two concepts side by side. I'll say with the discussion we have today and with your input, we are moving towards developing a full schematic design package, which would not only have all of our floor plans, so we really see how the individual components work together inside the building, but also some more clear iterations of what the building would look like in terms of the materials, in terms of the fenestration of windows. Thomas and Billy arranged for a kickoff call with us yesterday morning with our construction manager, who is KenCon. So the board agreed last month to negotiate a contract with KenCon to work on this, and so they're now on board. We're looking at having that information ready to bring back to you all in your end of November meeting. If you are comfortable with one of these two scenarios for us to move forward with.
Carl, just quick question. There's no cost difference in A or B, correct?
Not at this point, because we're really looking at it in terms of square footage, which is the same for both,
Okay.
about 41,000 square feet, and same location.
My question is, I've been really the one, you know, and I would think others support it in regards to the park-like thing. Does the cost include for that to be turfed? Because my biggest fear is that if it isn't included, then it just ends up looking like what the front office of HR and purchasing looks like right now, which is not in any way appealing. So for those two things, is it factored into that cost?
I can't say yes or no at this point, just to be fully honest, because we haven't developed a cost estimate that identifies exactly how much we can afford to do. So we're allocating the space for it, but I don't know what of that work, how that's going to play out in our budget, just in terms of full transparency.
Right, and my only 2 cents that if it's not going to look appealing and if it's not going to look nice, then why even have it? I took a few board members, and you were there too, in regards to the way Alamo Colleges looks like, and it looks extremely appealing where you want to sit there, you want to be part of that. But if we're not going to go through the entire process of having it look appealing, then I'm not sure about having it. That's my 2 cents.
Would
Right.
that section, the trail park area, would that be something like, not that we have that much, but like a picnic tables or anything back there?
Yes, that's what we would want.
That was the idea.
Like
Yeah.
gazebo or like
The
a
idea is, if y'all are here all the time on Saturdays and Sundays, where this is used so much, that be an extension park where families could use, they could have the
Yes, for
picnic
sure.
tables, they would have the chairs, and we would
Like a
maintain it
circle.
and take care of it, but, you know, the grass doesn't work in Texas
And
anymore.
look around Central Office here.
Right, exactly.
Now, which of the two is where you were saying that us as the boardroom, we would be able to maybe open up, expand it? Would it be the first one or second one?
It's really both. So in the scheme that's on the left, the front of the boardroom would open up towards the east, towards this space facing towards Southwest Elementary. In the scheme on the right, the boardroom would open up towards the south. So one of the primary things that is distinct between these two schemes is that when the boardroom opens up to the south, you have this larger courtyard space. It's really on the same side of the building as you have this park and trail. In this scheme on the left, you kind of have that activated in two different ways on two different sides of the building. So you have what we're seeing as a courtyard, which could be a bit more formal of a space on the right. The park and trail, which is less formal, would be on the left. None of that's really been fully designed yet, so I can't say exactly what the character would be, but at least initially that's kind of what we're thinking. Do you want to have two different outdoor spaces, or do you kind of want to focus around one outdoor space that has two different characters?
I have a few more, but I don't want to, you go first.
Well, when we went to Alamo Community College, it wasn't all turfed, was it?
They had a pretty good sized section.
Yeah, but that middle part where.
They had
but-
some concrete,
But
they
the
had
front of
some-
the building was not turf, that was grass, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Dr. Boss was talking about where we do put the park, the area that people are gonna be in that courtyard.
The
that
interior
turf
part,
that.
the
Which we
interior
can
part
do,
of the
we could put
trail.
that in there and price it and
Yeah,
design.
but my only concern with the turf is that well, of course, we want it to look nice, so I understand why you want turf, but the Pony League, when they come and set up everywhere, they use those, canopy things, and won't that tear it up? Wouldn't we have to have like a rule, no, because when they set up like a commune over there across from the high school, and then when they leave, it's not always in the best shape when they leave, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, if we're gonna have it available to the community, we're gonna have to put like signs up or
Parameters.
something that say, no canopy set up,
On turf.
no whatever, you
Yeah.
know, even,
Or no stakes, because the canopies you can set up and,
no, but doesn't that even?
as long as you
wouldn't that
don't
even-
drive
I mean,
it.
it's gonna tear up the turf, like the chairs that they use with those, you know, when they stick it. I mean, I'm just thinking, if we're gonna invest money in the turf, we're not gonna want to allow people to bring stuff in there, like canopies and chairs and barbecue pits and, cause they come like they're
Yeah,
tailgating.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I would just also want to have like a little bit of cover, that we provide some covered shading, you know, to make it look like an attractive park-like
Yeah.
setting.
Yeah.
Like some gazebo.
Question, is that park gonna be for the community or for the employees in their work?
It would be for both,
Okay, because if for the employees, then you could always put a fence around it.
yeah. It would be.
That way they'd keep the pony people out away from it.
And
That way the employees can go out there and enjoy their lunch or whatever.
yeah, and the pony people is not
I
really,
like that.
Mhm.
I like that better.
I don't know what the percentage is, but it's mostly not ours,
Right.
Yeah.
the kids that play there. So I don't wanna build some fantastic courtyard and then in one Pony League season, it's all a mess.
Because most of the tournaments are now not even
It's not
Southwest
ours.
kids. I
That's
mean,
the batting cages right behind the middle center, right? On the kind
Yeah,
of
right there by the clinic.
far left of the clinic. Yeah.
Right at that edge right there, right?
Yeah, so because, I mean, they used to let them, and we would have to make sure to get rid of, they let them come park behind there. That's what usually tears up all that grass and everything.
We'll probably
back
have to
there.
put some wrought iron fence up around the thing and then have it where it's accessible, where they can come in and out.
But I think putting the turf on the inside part of the track with like like you said, like a gazebo or something would be fine. And then the outside grass. The
Grass,
only thing I like about this one too is
Which one?
the alternate site is if we do something on the courtyard, we can have people out there on that grass watching, whereas if we put something out in the courtyard, like it's a smaller space right there. But the thing I like about the conceptual plan is the building's there, we already have the admin parking there. Whereas we're over here, we'd have to wait till the future expansion, or, you know, they're walking across, or, I don't know. Just kinda,
So a few of my questions would be, approximately, how much is it to do the third floor? Just, because I notice it's 2-story, but like approximately, would you be able to say like, oh, it's another $1 million to go 3-story, or 2 million, 5 million? Is there an approximate number?
It would depend on it would depend on how much square footage we would be looking to add. So right now, the footprint of this is about 15,000 square feet. So if we've got 15,000, if we add another 15,000, that's gonna be probably about a third or more of our budget. So that's gonna be another, I'm just making this up, 6 million.
Okay. So that was one of my questions, because then later on, we'll get to the part, not today probably, to the part where we have to inform the board the things that we're giving up.
Mm-hmm.
So in case they say, we don't want to really give all those up, it would be easier to add the third floor for about 6 million, right? Okay, so then go back to the 2 alternate ones?
Yes.
Yes, so my suggestion, the reason I like the alternate is because that courtyard cement area and the outside are right there. All of that lends itself, like for example, we started doing movie nights, the foundation did a great job in doing movie nights. That right there, I can envision us having the movie night right there, because you have both that concrete space and then the outside.
More room on that side.
So that's just one little preference. And then could you maybe explain, Car, why it was switched that the entrance of the building is really facing in instead of out to the street, where people would see the entrance and say, wow, look at Southwest ISD. So is there a preference or a reason why it was switched?
Well, so the way it's oriented in our conceptual plan here, what we were trying to do was face the entrance, if you will, really towards Southwest Elementary. But the entry point that you see here is what ties it out towards the street. So you're really looking at both this entry point and then this facade of the building as being what's related to the street. But as you walk along that, what you're looking across at is Southwest Elementary. One concern I have, just based on some of the discussions we've had to date about our alternate scenario, is that you're still gonna see that link. In terms of scale, you're gonna see that bridge piece as part of the connectivity, but when you're standing in the courtyard, you're really gonna be looking across the street towards Dollar General. So that concept doesn't really allow the building as much to face towards something else that's southwest. It faces off of our campus altogether.
And both of those concepts are closing the street right here behind us, right?
That's what we'd like to do, yes.
Right,
So
no,
the
we-
existing street right now, that's behind this building, runs right through here. We've shown it as something that we would take out altogether. It may be that it needs to remain as a fire lane, so it's a pedestrian area, but it wouldn't have regular vehicular traffic. What we'd like to be able to do is actually have vehicles drive along Dragon Lane and then enter into the parking lot, basically, once this corner is gone, like right over here. So you keep vehicles away from driving into the campus on that side. That would be our goal.
And
Okay.
that would help with the congestion of,
Well, it
But-
would just kind of keep cars out of the
right,
people.
but how, I mean, yes, we do have visitors, but it won't really help in regards to our employees. They're still gonna be going right in front of, right? right in front of Southwest Elementary.
Yes, because we envision that most of the employees are really using the two-story building on a day in, day out basis.
Mhm.
And so that puts that parking closer to them.
Right.
Dr. Bo, when you said 3-story, were you considering removing Building A and putting that underneath the 2-story building?
No,
What's
it-
in there?
What's it at?
Or in
At.
addition to?
Yep, it's because we've had these grand ideas. We had a grand idea of possibly having employee daycare, and
Wow.
housing it there,
Mm.
having mental health services there in the building. So there's some things that we know already
Okay.
we have to take out, so I
Okay.
just was wondering how much more, I just
Okay.
had no idea what one floor would cost.
When we came up with our, what I call our laundry list of everything that this professional development center could have, we landed on about between 75,000 and 80,000 square feet. But where we are in terms of budget is between 35 and 40,000 square feet. And so we had to identify, okay, what has to be here? What could happen over time, but what are we gonna start with right now? And so we prioritized the district staff and employees that are in the facilities that are being displaced, the activity of the board, you know, this room, but also looking at how a space like this could be larger and have more of that
Multi-purpose.
all-day activity as a professional development space. So that's really kind of what we've had to zero in on. We are looking at another thing that was really valued and staff were kind of excited by was the idea of having a space where staff could do some of their own, like, personal training, like a small gym. That's something that they have when we went to visit the San Antonio School District Central Office. We had basically cut that from our current plan, but we've put a small version of that back with just 2 individual changing rooms. It's square footage wise, it's really not much larger than what you would think of as a conventional classroom, but that does give us some space for some cardio equipment. So we do want to provide a little bit of that, and it's something, you know, down the road, we could always expand that, and make
Yeah.
larger space for that.
What's the square footage now? Oh,
41,000 square feet is what we're showing.
Is building A on both of them just like the boardroom staff development site?
The only other thing that I'm kind of thinking we're gonna put in there actually is communications, which communications doesn't know that yet. But I was thinking because of the media, the green room, the accessibility for equipment, it kind of makes sense for communications to go in that piece and have that kind of access.
So
But
those would be the 2 main components,
That's
the
what I'm
boardroom / staff development room, and then the communication.
Right, and so then the 2-story piece houses business and finance, human resources, administration, and curriculum and instruction.
Would the voting still take place in the boardroom when the county
Yes.
uses it?
I would say yes, but the fact that the plan of making a larger space than the concession hall would necessarily be the boardroom.
Be part of it.
Spaces,
One of the other spaces? Okay.
that there will be space for that.
Well, I like the building facing Southwest Elementary School, just because it's part of Southwest, right? I mean, the only way that the public is really gonna see the building when they drive by is if we put the building, like, facing Pearsall Road,
Yeah.
right? I mean, so have we thought of putting the building facing Pearsall Road, or, I mean, I like it facing the elementary school, really, cause it's another set of eyes on Southwest Elementary School, but, I mean, what are they gonna, when I'm driving down Pearsall Road, what's gonna catch my eye of the new building?
I would say what you'll end up seeing, and I don't have a view for our meeting today that shows that, but you're really seeing this end of the building. If we come down a little bit further, you're seeing that angle from a distance.
Where that person is on the phone?
Uh-huh.
And then
Like
is
from the
that on
arches?
both?
Probably have that view.
Is that on both option? Is that-
What, with the other option, what you're gonna end up seeing is basically, it's kind of like a mirror image of that.
Okay.
Where instead of having the boardroom on the left, the boardroom is on the right, but you're still having that large porch come out to greet you. And we
Okay.
really wanted that to be clear in terms of the front door, to lead you to all parts of the complex, basically.
Mhm.
So that building A is this room, pretty much? And
That's the largest part of it, yeah.
Okay.
And then, when we go into closed session, where is that? Have we talked about that? Where we would go? Would we go upstairs to the,
There would probably be where there would be like some rooms inside building A that y'all would have access to that's separated. Not, because, that plan of going up, I mean, I guess it could,
If we could, we haven't really
not that far.
detailed that much
The
of the
inside, we
square
haven't
footage
really got,
yet.
it's kind of like,
because,
Really?
okay, I just wanna say, if we're gonna invest money in a, senior staff cabinet, special meeting room upstairs, then I don't wanna invest money in a closed session room too.
Mhm.
We might as well just walk up the
Do
stairs
one.
or the elevator or whatever and go into closed session in the nicer boardroom and leave that for another purpose. And, there's no reason to spend money on two
Both.
private rooms.
Sure.
As far as that, I have trouble visualizing, so, I mean, I would just think whatever is gonna work best for us. I
and
don't-
right now,
I
this
don't
is
really
just a
know.
conceptual, it's not
Yeah.
schematic, so it's not like
Yeah.
a final thing, it's just, we just giving y'all a first kind of glance at it, bring it back to subcommittee, take what we've learned today and just keep working it.
If you were worried about, you know, the alternate plan with it facing towards Dollar General, the conceptual plan site, could you rotate a little bit, move it down, and then throw the trail on the other side?
Like just twist it more, a
Yeah.
little bit more towards Pearsall?
So that kind of
Is that what
points,
you're
it,
saying?
it's kind of gives it more of the orientation of the alternate, but putting the building A on the other side. and
Yes,
that
I
opens it up.
understand. So the reason why we didn't show it that way, I'm gonna
See,
go.
there's your looking, how it's looking at Pearsall.
Yeah.
The reason why we didn't show it that way is because is this plan, if I start to rotate that counterclockwise,
Mhm.
then what happens over time is that on the, like 2 days a year that we have cold weather, you basically create like a wind tunnel effect.
Oh, okay, yeah.
In the space between the two buildings. So with it shown the way it's shown, your larger building, the two-story building, kind of helps block winter wind from sort of being directed through that. But if the building turns further, you start to really see that winter wind get kind of like funneled into that space. So that was the reason why we don't really show it that way. The other scenario, again, kind of lets the building do some of the work for us in terms of blocking that effect. And then by facing east, we're facing away from the afternoon sun. We pick up more morning sun along the front. So another lesson learned they talked about when we got to go visit the Alma College's headquarters is that for a number of different reasons, when they thought about the design and planning of that, they didn't allocate funds in the construction budget for their window shades. And the boardroom all faces in a direction where like they were like the sun was glaring straight in. And so to the greatest extent possible, we want to try to do what we can to mitigate that. If you can't, just based on the orientation of the building, you want to be sure you've got some kind of lines.
Carl, what did you say it was gonna cost to go up to 3 stories? If we decided to-
I did it, so 15.4 and about 500 is 7.7 million.
Yeah, we're looking at.
I'm just saying, you know, we're gonna build this building and we're growing, we're not getting no smaller. So 2 years from now, we're gonna be adding on to it again. Why not do it right the first time and we're done with it? I mean, we're gonna be adding on 2 years from now.
Yeah, I know, but we also have to stay, unless we can figure out how we're gonna add, I'm not willing to take $6-7 million out of fund balance. And that's a lot of money to take out, especially the way our economy is and it, I mean, if the, it didn't, but if the government shut down and we have 3 months of money that we might need for whatever, and then we take $7 or $8 million. If we could figure a different way to do it with our bond, maybe, but I'm not willing to take that much money out of, that's just me, but I'm not willing to take that much money out of fund balance for the building.
I think what we need to do is identify cost and what that third story would be for.
Yeah. I know that we initially talked about some of those programs that are for families and services for communities, so I don't know if we want it even in that building. So like where you see the blue shaded, you create another space that's accessible to the public, because then you're, if you put it in that building, now you need them to come into our building, where some of them may not want to, because they're coming to the food pantry and
Yeah.
the closing closet. So whereas future expansion doesn't mean we don't take a look at it now and say, what can we add on if we wanna put those in there? It's really,
Yeah.
I will share, when we went out to the community, it was central office professional development. We had to stay away from community is the word, because that's one of those things that has to be separated on the ballot. But doesn't mean we can't add those things in there. And so really it's just looking at that part, like really what does the board want in this building, with working with Dr. Ball? And then if we can't, where does that go later, or where does it, and then where can we move it now? Because we're about to free up some pretty extensive spaces, especially at Cass High School, where we can utilize, and we have funds set aside for that building to do some things differently from our bond funds. Or we take those away from there and we invest into this building for those spaces. So it's really, we're gonna probably need some direction, but we can kind of circle back and kind of look at that, what that additional cost would be.
Yeah.
And we can bring that back to the subcommittee and then bring it back to you guys.
My only request for out of convenience to the board, and I agree with Ms. Hildoken about not needing two big fancy rooms or anything like that, but if in building A, there could be a little staff development room, because sometimes we have big staff developments and sometimes we just have smaller staff development. And that staff development room could also serve as a closed session room too.
Carl,
So-
couldn't they put accordion doors across there like they do in ballrooms a lot?
Yeah.
And you have the
That's
big
what
doors, you close
SCISD
it
had.
off, and
That's what
you have two
our community
rooms.
college had.
I mean, that is, I think it's kind of both. So the way we've programmed space for your boardroom, we would want it to be divisible either in two, or at Alamo Colleges, the way they have their setup, it can actually be divided in four, because it's more like a square. I think that's separate from a different room where you could have just a meeting of like 16 people. Because even those spaces tend to lend themselves still to sort of setups where you've got a lot more different functional usage, and I think a conference room with kind of what you're describing is still kind of a conference room, you know what I mean? So I kind of think you end up having both. But I fully acknowledge your point. I don't think it's two different fancy spaces. You know, it's just two spaces that support a certain number of people. That's maybe the right way of saying it.
I do want to say I agree with Brandon about the, especially the food pantry, the clothes closet, and the mental health services. I think if people are going to come to do that, I mean, we could maybe have it in the same building, but a separate entrance, so that it's not, you're coming to the reception and saying, I need to go to the food pantry, or I need to go to Southwest Care. So I want to honor that privacy for the community also, so.
I mean, I would say that from the point of view of where we are in the process of design right now, I don't know that it would fundamentally be less money to add a third floor than to just make the footprint different like what you're showing here. So what Brandon just did is he just said, okay, if we're talking that much square footage, at a cost per square footage, it's that number. Well, that square footage doesn't know whether it's on the third floor or it's just more of the first floor.
Right, exactly.
So if that were something that Southwest ISD wanted to do, it would fundamentally change what we can accomplish with the 18 million in terms of square footage. That's what we're trying to do our best to work within, is we can get this many square feet built for this amount. But if there's more things we need to accomplish, that ends up being, I'm gonna say, I don't know, let's just sort of split the difference, 55,000 square feet. Then then we just sort of look at what the cost is and what that footprint looks like.
Because couldn't you take A and put it on top of B? I mean, very easy, right?
That's the,
You mean just stack it all as one thing?
Well, it'll be 3 stories.
Right.
I mean, like you said, it doesn't know if it, that building don't know if it's 2-story or 1-story.
That's true. The only reason that we had started with a concept like this was just to give building A a little bit more volume,
Okay.
so that it isn't just kind of stacked within the layer cake of a multi-story building. If you think about some of the work I've been a part of in the past with McNair or Resnick, you know, the way those schools work, you have our academic wings, you go across a bridge for our outdoor space for students, and then when you step into the cafeteria, you get a little bit more of that volume. So conceptually, that's kind of what we're looking at here. It's just that along that bridge, we actually want to activate some of that with some of our programmatic usage as well. So it's not just a pedestrian crossing.
So Car, what do you really need from the board right now?
Well, the challenge for us would be trying to develop a schematic design, a full schematic design for both of these. Ideally, in an ideal world, you all would feel comfortable saying, yeah, go ahead and move forward with the one on the left or the one on the right. If you don't feel ready to give that feedback today, we'll have to do a little bit more work to refine the differences between the two. And that's just going to take another conversation, which could turn into some time.
Does the board feel feel comfortable?
Let me just-
I'll just
I
be
don't-
honest, I don't know that I would, either one, I think I'd be happy with either one. It's just all orientation, so whatever makes the most sense orientation-wise, then that's,
I just like that
I
the
don't-
the paved courtyard attaches to the parking trail. If we're gonna put turf down in there, it's something like you said, like movie night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
I
that
like the
too.
one on the right.
I like the one on the right.
Okay.
I like the one. on the
Yeah, I
right.
think
To
we're
me,
good with-
I think we get so much foot traffic here, and if they're looking this way, is what they're seeing. I understand
And-
your side too, but I mean, you got more eyes if you're coming this way, but it's just,
And if we went with either B in the future expansion, I think would be more accessible on B, on this side, because you have that parking lot to work with. Over here, you have to tear up green space
You got the pony fields.
to
well,
work
yeah,
in
but
pony
then you're
fields.
doing away
Yeah.
with the parking lot too.
No, well, just temporarily, while they're, you know, as a stage.
Yeah, I don't care
Yeah.
either way.
Like the one on the right.
Just think
Okay.
about conception when you're walking out your building, what you want, like,
Okay.
it's accessibility to parking lots and then what you're seeing. And the people that are driving by, seeing this building, because really, I will just say on alternate site plan, the alternate site plan, I don't think we're gonna have a lot of traffic there because we're gonna be cutting that road out, right?
Ideally, yes.
Yeah. So I don't know how many people are gonna be coming by the pony field anymore, because that really is just gonna be to get into that visitor parking.
Well, they're gonna park there.
Yeah, they're gonna park there, but like people coming down,
Pearsall
Pearsall,
Road.
I mean, you're gonna have Constantino's and the Dollar General's kind of blocking your view till you get past like where we are right now, and then you.
So which
maybe-
one do you like?
No, I'm just giving you ideas, cause I like them both, so.
No, I know,
Yeah.
but, I mean, you deal with this all the time.
Nah.
Thomas, which one is? I mean, really, we're not,
is it gonna be closed off, gated off behind the batting
Okay.
cages?
Gives it to-
See,
Fenced
that's
up.
what I possibly see, cause I also agree with Dr. Ball to create a really nice trail.
Yeah.
But I'd rather have it closed in than we can leave it open.
I would.
So remember when you're walking in this thing, we're creating a breezeway, whatever side the courtyard's on, that's gonna be accessible to the people that are coming into the building. And then we can have it where on weekends, we can open it up to the Pony League, but maybe keep it away from the building, so.
Okay, real quick, who likes the alternate?
Yeah,
Real quick, who likes the
I'm
alternate?
hearing alternate more. So let's build on that. Let's build on the alternate.
Give them something to look at. We'll give them something to go ahead and look at.
Okay,
Alternate?
yeah,
The alternate.
okay,
That's all we needed, Bob.
okay.
Put in that fence.
Sorry, we still
Thank
on
you,
your car.
Do you guys have a preference? I mean, y'all are not really saying anything.
Doesn't matter to them. They don't
Speak,
have,
I mean, you can speak your mind, come on.
Thomas is still gonna be back there.
Come on, Thomas.
I really do like the concept, what is it, the.
Sorry, it's,
It's
I
on your
did,
right,
I,
the alternate site plan.
That one,
I
okay.
like that one only because not only about a movie night, but even if it were like a performing group.
Or a jazz band,
You could put a performing group on the courtyard that faces out.
a mariachi.
Okay, you're looking at the wrong side. We're on the same page, then,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
All right,
your-
Mr. Floyd,
yes,
we're on the
it's
same
your
page.
right, but yes.
There you go.
I'm waiting to see what Thomas has to say.
The alternate site, so.
Thomas says it, let's go.
I don't like looking at the back of Dollar General and the back of the medical building.
Gotcha.
That's just, but there is a lot of stuff that's going to happen between, it's not like here where you walk out the door and it's right there. There's gonna be a large area that you're gonna see that's nice and very well done, so.
Yeah, especially if you're putting up those trees over there anyway,
Yeah.
there's some growth.
They always put a little
I think
fence
either
around
one
it.
is gonna work.
Just, but the question, my question is if, say, we're looking at that one, are they looking at the backside of the building A? They're just looking at the backside of building A, correct?
Wait, what?
No, I guess you're saying if they're on, Dragon Lane there?
Yes.
If they're going down Dragon Lane, yes, they're gonna be seeing behind the building,
Okay.
cause that's where the back is. But they turn in right there at the arches to the visitor parking, then yeah, they can see the front, but if you're driving Dragon Lane, they're gonna see the backside.
Where is the entranceway gonna be in the parking lot for the alternate site?
so we're still basically entering our parking at the, where the existing drive is back
Yeah,
here.
either way, the entrance is the
To
same.
come into the parking here or turn and connect to the parking here. And then we may end up adding a new point of connection. The next existing curb cut across is all the way up
There you
here.
go.
So I don't know if we'll end up doing anything different along there or not
We
yet.
probably should.
Just because that'll be far to come back again.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Cora.
Thank you
Real
all.
quick, timeline, when will, the board get to hear from you again?
So we are planning to be back to talk with the board. The November meeting is actually late in the month, like after Thanksgiving.
The week after Thanksgiving, Tuesday.
It's like the very end, so that's when we would be back next with schematic design.
And please know that I know that the board is very gracious to me, that if something happens earlier and you need for me to ask them, they're willing to, we wanna get this project going, so the minute you need them, I'll call them, and they're amazing, they'll come back.
Yep.
Can
Thank you. Thank you
Can I
all.
just ask one more thing? Since the public's only seeing that little breezeway, like that's gonna be their, like, view, have we discussed any kind of, artwork going there? Like some kind of a big metal something that,
I don't believe we're that far yet.
okay.
We're just trying to get the footprint from y'all approved, and then we'll turn it over, and then we'll start having those kind of
Okay.
design things.
A
Absolutely.
big, a big SW rotating,
Made out of glass.
a rotating.
Too many, huh?
Okay.
Oh, guys.
Okay, item B, Raise Your Hand Texas Champions Award and Trustee Advocate Program Application.
Yes.
Who's got that?
I do Sophie Torres. Many of you know Sophie Torres, and she has a wonderful opportunity for one of our board members to belong to one of their leadership groups. So Sophie has been online, and I asked her to share this in hopes that one of our board members might want to join this. So Sophie, I hope you have been able to hear me, and you may start your presentation.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Again, my name is Sophie Torres. I'm with Raise Your Hand Texas. I'm the Regional Advocacy Director for the San Antonio area and the Coastal Bend down to Corpus. I do want to congratulate you guys on your MASBA awards. I was there in the audience. Raise Your Hand Texas also received our award for the Trustee Advocates Program, which is what I'll be talking about. But I know you guys got one for your cultural initiative and as the MASBA school district. So congratulations. I know those are really big things and just really an accomplishment to you all. So I'm going to share my slide and go through a little bit of the program of what I'm presenting and what I'm talking to you guys about. This is what MASBA gave us an award for, and it's actually for the entire board and for the entire board to participate in this cohort as trustee advocates. In our mission at Raise Your Hand Texas, we know a special session starting next week. And it's really to educate and engage and activate Texans through public education policy and advocacy. Super simple in mission and theory, but in practice, it can be a little challenging, but we're up for a challenge. And so the trustee advocacy program started 2 years ago, and it goes through a cohort style, and it's really to give school boards and their superintendents, so as a collective, as a team of 8, the tools they need to find, use, and amplify their voices and the voices of their communities to influence state education policy. We have seen school boards become a lot more politically active, both in how races are run and how different they are compared to 5, 10, 15 years ago, but also in advocacy and the need to be politically engaged and the need to be involved in what's going on in the state. And so through this cohort program, districts come up with a plan based on 5 advocacy competencies through community engagement, mobilization, electoral engagement, issue development, campaigns, legislative relationships, and effective communications. There's a total of 6 sessions where, as a team, the superintendent and up to 3 board members come either to Austin or we host something in at your district to really learn about tools and what can be done to really advocate and enhance a plan with each of these advocacies. All the work that Raise Your Hand Texas does is issue-based, it's nonpartisan, and alignment with the Open Meetings Act. We want to make sure that you all as school board members are really safe and that we don't want to get anyone in trouble by any means. So all of the work that we do is really based on public education issues. We do not dabble in any sort of partisan aspect. So this is the schedule for the program. If you guys are interested in applying, I highly hope you do apply. I would love to have an area school board participate. There is a team of 8 training that is done within your school district, and then there are 4 meetings done in Austin, and this goes through an 18-month program. So it goes through into the next legislative session. For CAT, we are doing 9 school districts that are involved in this cohort. It's all grant funded. And so the different categories, depending on what your school district is classified under by TEA, whether it's a major urban or suburban district and everything like that. So we kind of fall in that space. These are our cohort that we had this past year and a half as the inaugural cohort. If you know of anyone there, San Elizario was, I know, at Mazba as well, and Thornhill. And so they have really great things to say. So does Ector County. But as you can see, we had some small school districts, large school districts, and they all learned a lot of how to be more involved and more engaged through the process and how to build a collective team, unified together as a board. Wrong way. So all that to say, applications are open. The deadline is next Friday. I highly hope that you all consider applying as a board. I think it would be a great opportunity to really enhance and showcase the work that Southwest is doing. You guys are going through a lot of massive growth. Obviously, I heard all the new plans for a building, and I think this is a great way to show alignment more in the community and also show your presence on a state level as well. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Sophie, Sophie, first of all, thank you for being here today. And quick question. So I understand we apply as a board and get accepted as a board.
Correct.
And then there's 5, 6 meetings, sessions you will hold. And can we go like 3 this time, 3 others the next time? Or the same person if they want to stick with it the whole time, but 2 different? We could send a mixture of our 7 throughout the year. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You all
Thank
decide as a board. We had some school districts that had the same people go every single time. And then we had some school boards this past time that had that of rotating. So everyone got to experience the learning and got to see it. But yes, it's really up to the school board themselves.
Thank you, Sophie. I think you'll get an application from us.
Great.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, because I think between us, we can figure out who goes when and
Yeah.
take care of that, yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. Anyone else have any other questions? No? Okay, thank you, Sophie.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you.
Okay. Closed session. As permitted by sections 551.001-551.146 of the Texas Government Code, we will now go into closed session at 12:33. Okay, we come back into open meeting at 12:58 and go back to item 5. Consider the possible passage of board resolution to join intervenors' suit regarding school accountability ratings.
I move to have the board enter the lawsuit handled by the O'Hanlon Law Firm in regards to accountability.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, board. Your one more item?
Yes, everybody has a beautiful invitation. We're honoring our teachers that have gone above and beyond on the state accountability tested and received some amazing results. So I hope that you can join us. It'll be on Monday of October the 9th, which is a staff development day. And then just for future planning, we're having our first parent symposium, which is going to be on a Saturday on November the 4th. You'll be getting that invitation also. But thank you, board, for all your support and all that you do for our district.
Board members, do you all have anything you want to announce? Hearing none. This meeting is adjourned at 12:59.